I really need a vlogging camera. What's up guys, my name is Rodney Merritt. If you don't know who I am, I have been a lot of things in life. One of those things is I was a musician most of my life and kind of cut my teeth and learned the hard knocks of school of hard knocks with digital marketing, advertising, learning how to brand yourself, all those things that go into marketing, which led me into making my hobby kind of my career. I've always loved cars. It's always kind of been a thing of mine that I've always done. And then, well, that kind of course, goes hand in hand with tech. This channel is kind of a little bit of me talking about marketing, talking about tech, how it relates to marketing, because these things nowadays are what we use to do just about everything. So I thought it would be great to kind of add to my channel a little bit about my experiences with tech. If you look down through my channel, you'll see several types of videos that I've done in the past. That's just kind of some of my marketing background, what I've helped people with. And I've even done a few tech reviews and things like that. This is kind of my kickoff to 2022 of me being a YouTuber, vlogger, person. I also have a car channel. If you'll check the links below, you can go check those out, subscribe, as well as another channel that I have with my buddy Zach, where we kind of do fun little car stuff, and that's kind of our build channel where we have projects. And Zach's kind of a truck guy, and so we kind of do truck stuff. Let me talk about some of the tech that I have. So currently I'm rocking two phones. I know, cue the music. I got two. But yeah, I get it all the time. People are I tell them I have two phones and they're always like, Kevin Gates. Some of the other equipment that I have the first iPad Pro that came out, 10.5 inch iPad Pro. It does have support for the first Apple Pencil. I've never actually used it. Then also, I just bought this brand new Ronin, which doubles great as a tripod. It's the Ronin SC, it's the cheaper version, but I don't really need all the fancy stuff. It is a little bit harder to set up, but I'm learning how to use it, learning that I really like it. Right now, what I'm talking into is a Canon Rebel T4i, which is a little older, but I got such a good deal on this camera. Doesn't shoot 4K, really. It's really like a high-end 1080 close. It's close. It's close. This looks good, right? So those are kind of, yeah, most of my tech. I have a watch active, I think, a second generation of the active 2, I guess. Let's talk about what I used and what kind of got me here. So yeah, I journeyed out on my own in 2019. To kind of do my own thing in marketing. I had a lot I wanted to do, and that was kind of the main reason why I walked away from the traditional kind of 9 to 5. So that kind of led me down this whole road of tech. Let's talk a little bit about my tech journey and how that came about. A loud noise. So what kind of started all of this was I was looking for a new phone. I had used an iPhone for a very, very long time. One of my favorite devices was the iPhone 5S. Absolutely loved the 4, the 4S, the 5S. Kind of how I got into tech and how I really got into doing this kind of stuff. I had one of the best phone experiences out of a phone that was not necessarily a flagship and was not really highly reviewed, and that was this guy, the Motorola Z2. And later on I would get the Z3 and Z4, and I liked all of those phones. I actually traded in my Z4, and if you go back on my Instagram, you can see where I called it the best phone that I ever had. And that's pretty true to what it was. These phones were touted as not having good cameras, and I had no problem with mine at all. It was actually really good, really decent. I have some low light shots that were super epic, and granted they're not crazy good, but compared to other phones and sharing on social media, no one could really tell. I love the fact that it was modular, that you could take the back off and you could just have this nice, clean extremely thin phone. And you can change your backplates. They have multiple ones. 64 gigabytes of storage, 4 gigabytes of RAM. I mean, not much different than a typical iPhone nowadays in 2021. 3000 milliamp battery, pretty close to like an iPhone SE or an iPhone mini. 5.5 inch 1080p. I mean, that's still pretty common today. But the big thing was, it's got a old school Touch ID fingerprint reader, which was really fast on these, if you don't remember. There was just other things that Motorola did, like I could twist it to open the camera and take a picture. That was great. I love that. On my note, actually, I tried to figure out how to do it, could never do it. Closest I could get was double tapping the power button, assigning that to be double tap, open that up, and that was cool. Apple, you gotta turn the screen on somehow, and then you gotta hold that down, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know, inconsistencies. We'll get to that later. All of the Motorola Z phones, and when they stopped saying they weren't going to support modular, I mean, these phones were great. I mean, look at this dude. This was actually the first one I had. I have a spare one. If you noticed, I bought it in case this one gave up the ghost, which it did. Those phones were fantastic, and I absolutely loved them. So obviously I was in the market for a new phone, which is why we're talking about tech and why we're here. I found some great reviewers out there just who had fantastic channels and really influenced my buying decision, sort of. For the longest time now, Samsung and Apple have just been dominating the space. I wanted something different, and there wasn't really anything. There's not really been anything exciting about the mobile space until foldables came. I didn't really know what to do. So I took a chance and bought two of Apple and Samsung's cheapest entry-level devices. One of those was the iPhone XR or XR, however you want to say it. I like to say XR, so that's what we're going to call it on this video. So I bought that. It was a large phone. Getting that and then getting a Galaxy S10e, which I still have. And this phone was great. I actually fell in love with this phone more and more every time I used it. It was easy to hold in one hand. It had a great selfie camera on it. It had a really good wide angle lens. I mean, this phone was it's just so thin. One, I'm a thin phone kind of guy. I mean, look at that, it's like super thin. I don't ever use zoom, so the fact that it didn't have a telephoto lens was fine. Unfortunately, this one fell down and cracked in two places, which wasn't really bad, but the fact that it fell right here and it looks like it damaged the area right by the power button, which is also the fingerprint reader, which I loved. I thought this was great. I mean, look at this. I have decently sized hands, pretty big hands, and that was fantastic. Volume rocker here. I mean, one-handed use all day long. I mean, it's a little tall. It's almost the same exact size as my, gotta get rid of those notifications. But yeah, these two things are pretty close to the same size. In fact, I think the case is all that really offers any kind of height on the iPhone. No, it's just a wee bit bigger, but it's definitely thicker, if you guys can see this on camera. But kind of see the thickness there. I love this form factor. I fell in love with it, thought it was fantastic. iPhone XR was just trash. And don't let anyone tell you any difference. And fanboys will argue one of the best phones. It wasn't. It was terrible. And the whole reason I switched from Apple to Motorola was because my iPhone 6s Plus, at the time it was Plus, not Pro, not Max, was also absolute garbage. I don't know what was going on with Apple's ecosystem at the time. I had a lot of issues. Apps would crash. I still to this day see that if you have too many apps open on your iPhone, it will just get to the point where it just will not work. I consistently have issues where mine will have a bunch of apps open and it will just stop loading stuff. Just bogs down. And I have to close all the apps out. I can open the app up that I was using and boom, working fine, no problem, no issues. This phone was not praised, but people liked it. I think they liked the form factor. It was small. I could one-hand it easily like this. For the most part, I could reach just about everything on the screen with one hand. Texting and everything was great. It was a great screen, great cameras. I actually used this to video all of my iPhone XR review and talk about how crap it was. It wasn't terrible. It had a lot of potential just for it was cool, the colors were neat, the size was big. I liked all those things about it being a mobile device that I was going to carry every day, but I wasn't the only one. I had a really close friend of mine who also had the same exact issues that I had, and she is still an iPhone user. She did not jump ship, but she upgraded as soon as possible and got rid of that phone. So that phone is gone. Obviously, I did not like it and traded it in and got 2 new phones, but this one I held on to. I thought about maybe fixing it here recently. These guys are still bringing pretty decent money. The thing I remember about this one, why I want to hang on to it, kind of maybe use it as a mobile shooter alongside of like some GoPros and things like that, would be for the simple fact that I did get this in a larger variant. So this phone actually has 8 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage. So lots of storage here, lots of RAM. It's supposed to get the new update. But yeah, I like this dude. I'm probably gonna fix it, probably use it to throw in my bag as a shooter. It's still got a headphone jack on it. And my car is not that old, it's only 4 years old and still has a place to hook this up. So probably be like a little, almost like an iPod, but I can put a SIM card in it, rock it. So let's talk about where I am now and talk about these 2 devices. Note 10 Plus 5G, one of the reasons why I still hang on to this, haven't traded in. iPhone 11 Pro, wasn't a big enough upgrade for the 12. I think the 13 is a good upgrade for the 11. Since I've owned these 2 devices, foldables have become a thing. Now I think they're to a point where they are actually premium phones. And the reason I say that is because I've held some in my hand for several hours, using them back and forth, opening those hinges. They're almost kind of hard to open, especially on the Fold 3. And I like that. I like when you pick them up, they feel very industrial, very heavy, very premium. I just think phones have become a lot more stronger and rigid. Just the advancement in technology also has been followed by the advancement in hardware. Let's talk about my Note. So I got this thing. This thing's just a normal 256 gig Note, not a 512 or anything stupid crazy like that. It's just kind of middle of the road, good storage, whatever. I've used like 83 of my 250 gigabytes of storage, right? But this thing is a powerhouse. It's always there, it's always useful, it never slows down, it's never lagged. I mean, I really have no issues except for one big one, and one of the reasons why I always carry an iPhone, and that's this camera. We'll talk about the design. I didn't really like when camera started going to this corner. I don't like that. Definitely preferred this shape better than this shape. I still don't like this shape. To this day, I am just not a fan. I pretty much like this phone and the way it looked. It was Aura Glow. I wasn't worried about the curved edges. I'm a case guy, as well as a camera bump. It's recessed inside this case. But yeah, outside of all that, and then the biggest thing that I got, because I always want to be Mr. Techie, Mr. Nerdy, Mr. I'm doing work on my phone, was the S Pen. I thought it was a gimmick at first. I didn't think I'd ever use it. Didn't think that it would be that big of a draw. I had people that own Notes that talked about how great they were. And yeah, so I have fallen in love with it. It's not just a stylus, which is what I thought it was. I don't print anything anymore. I sign all of my documents on there, and whatever way I need to convert them. Usually Samsung offers me a huge array and Android of ways that I can convert that real quick and sign it. I use Canva a lot. It's great for that. It's great for moving stuff around, being real precise, being able to highlight stuff, circle stuff, editing photos, any of those things that I'm doing, just being able to have that precise ability to use that S Pen. When I started using Android, specifically Samsung, right beside the iPhone, I know people talk about how great iPhones are. They've talked about how great Google is and how the big buzzword now is computational photography. I found that I preferred this camera over the iPhone when taking pictures. Video was decent if I was outside in the daytime. I think too because this was a smaller form factor and I could really get a good grip on it. And if I did that, I was able to video very smoothly, a lot easier than I was having a bigger phone that gave me a lot of fatigue that I couldn't really rest my hand on. I had to two-hand it. Just not comfortable, not easy, not smooth. I didn't use this for a lot of video, but I did like the video on it. And I put this in a tripod and shoot some vlogs or whatever. It was great for that. The wide angle was awesome at the time. Apple didn't have that on the XR. So I got to where I prefer, I'm always tempted to get the Samsung. I like the way that they process pictures. I know a lot of people talk about, oh, they seem a little overexposed or whatever, but in the world where selfies have filters all over them and we're filtering everything, I like less work. I like this, and I like the way these process pictures. I like the fact that you can take some older pictures or pictures from movies or whatever, and you can save them and it gives you the filter effects. That helps so much when I'm trying to shoot a video or shoot a photo and I want to have a certain look to it. I can always just get on my phone, take the S Pen out, Google something real quick, save, drop that around, move it around, put the S Pen back up. I love all of those quirky things that Samsung offers. On top of the software, I've learned to enjoy. This skin is not my favorite. I would love to get a device that had just flat Android on it to see what I really liked. I know Moto had some Moto touches on there. To this day, I think that's one of the reasons why I absolutely loved these devices, were because they had that interface that was just so nice to use. The chop to bring the light on and off, the twist, and just a few other things that just, it was almost stock Android, but it wasn't stock Android. Versus this, it feels like home. I mean, it feels just like my 5 and 5, or just like my 5S, just like my 4. It looks a little different. I can do a few other things, but for the most part, the interaction has been pretty similar. I mean, you get real easily used to the swipe gestures, even though I hate them, because anytime I have a menu where I have to swipe up through the menu and I want to get to the bottom of it really fast, I can't because it flips the screen off. And I've loved and enjoyed the experience of Samsung. I will say my 11 Pro has been probably a lot better device than 6 and the XR were, hands down. It's probably showing Apple's ability to really push back into that premium space, and I think it's because guys like this, Samsung, they've made phones that were really pushing the mark. Just these two devices in themselves kind of prove that Apple didn't just rely on Apple anymore. They couldn't just be who they were, and that their following was tempted. All of that, walking through all these devices that I have in front of me. Of course, watch-wise, I start out with this guy. Can't beat that rotating bezel. Galaxy Watch 1. I bought it last year in 2020 because I was nervous about getting a smartwatch. I mean, it's just like, I never liked an Apple Watch, and there weren't really any dead set reviews on anything Android, but I was like, this is the phone that I carry the most, use the most, want to know about notifications, and want to take a phone call on it. So I tried this guy. It was a beast. That's why I kept him. Because this, I wasn't really sure about this form factor, but getting it with, this is the UB Pro Subcase band, which makes it kind of look like a G-Shock kind of watch or whatever. Perfect smartwatch for me on the go. And it would be nice to have something a little more premium, kind of like the Apple Watch. And I know the same brand makes something for an Apple Watch, but I like the round face better. Just old school. Earbuds, I know that's a big thing right now. What I'm using for earbuds is these guys. These are the Clips McLaren Edition T5-2s. I like them a lot. I like this case. It's a little bit bigger, but it looks like carbon fiber. When I'm editing videos or I'm needing really solid sound, I have these big dudes. Anyway, they are wireless headphones as well. Stereo speakers all the way around. You've got a really nice flush leather. I think this smells like leather. I think I think it's all leather. It's really nice, really soft materials, really comfortable to wear for several hours. Active noise cancellation. They have a separate 35mm headphone jack as well, so you can go wired with them if you need to. You charge them by micro USB. It's not really hard to charge them. Kicker Kush, K-U-S-C-H, I think is how you spell this. Anyway, so that's kind of the devices, and everything that I'm using works with both phones and both devices. And as we move into the new year of 2022, there's some great devices that have already been very tempting to get. My problem that I'm running to that you guys might can help, maybe you can comment below, maybe you can hop on Twitter and give me a shout, is I love Android. I like Apple. Apple is convenient, solid, works with all its devices. I do have a 14-inch MacBook. 14-inch MacBook Air. I guess that's what it was called at the time. It's from 2014. Does have an i7, does have 256 gigs. I upgraded it purposely because they're so dang expensive. I didn't want to buy another one. Having things like iMessage and a family full of iPhone users, and most of my friends having iPhones, knowing that you've just got this amazing video camera in there that can work as some B-roll, and their software just gets better and better at getting closer and closer to this DSLR. I wouldn't be surprised if the new iPhone 13 shoots video as good as this camera because it's a few years old. I also love the ability to have a tablet, and I just love that experience of having that tablet. It's 10.5 inches, which is a little large for me, but I just love the screen. I love everything about it. The tablet experience is just so much more conducive for me. I love the touch screen. It's larger. Typing on it's not a problem. I could get a keyboard for it. I could get a mouse for it. All those things being said, I also love this form factor. So right now, here's what's tempting to me. Get an iPhone mini 13, iPhone 13 mini, which is smaller than these two devices. Which is insane. Has the same two cameras set up kind of like this, which I had no problem using. 12 Pro cameras from last year, which were amazing to begin with, and were still to this day amazing because just in October we got new iPhones. So it's not like the past 3 months those phones became obsolete. But the biggest thing is that iPhone would just be in clutch shooter. This guy's gonna go with me just about everywhere, or probably gonna upgrade him too. Sony SVE10, I think is what it's called. I just started looking at cameras, guys. Being able to have all Apple products in-house, AirDrop, iMessage, Apple Pencil now, iPhone mini with an iPad mini. It's still two devices, but now one's a tablet and one's a small phone. And the small phone is basically it. It's a phone. It's the phone where, like, you know, I'm waiting in line at a restaurant and I can browse and see what's going on. It's just right here. You know, oh, time for me to take a park and go. I don't have my camera. Let's shoot this video real quick. Cool. Play with cinematic mode. Shoot some B-roll. Move on with my life and use it as a vlog camera. Right? That all sounds great. Those two work together. I could, in a pinch, not saying all the time, in a pinch, I could airdrop those videos over to the iPad, use the Apple Pencil, and actually edit those videos on the fly if I needed to. iPad mini now has USB-C, means that I can connect it to a TV or a larger screen. Not to mention, I would probably just use AirPlay, but being able to do all those things and be able to transfer files and things like that from cameras and computers and stuff like that, that makes sense in my head. And there's also the new world of folded phones, and the Z Fold just, to me, that thing is so attractive because it's phone, tablet, all together in one little beautiful little clamshell. And a lot of things that the people don't like about it, I like about it. A lot of people talk about how they don't like the cover screen, it's too small, it's too narrow. Well, after holding one, my favorite thing about it is it's more narrow than this. And if you notice, when I reach around something, that's kind of how I get to that other side of the screen. So that thinner form factor, one, leaves me the ability to one hand. Why do I want to one hand? Hold your tater tots right there. I'll show you why you want one hand. So this is why you want a one hand. This is whenever I have to get up early and go out about my day. This is kind of my thermos cup that I take, and I either put a smoothie in this, or not really. I usually down my smoothie in the morning, but coffee. This is a traditional Starbucks coffee mug. Since it's Christmas, I got this one. It sucks to be drinking your coffee with a big phone and trying to text. Now I have big hands, right? So this dance that I do is a little bit easier, but this is reaching to the other side of the screen. It is hard to do. So what I typically have to do is I have to take my cup, my mug, set it down, type the message, put the phone down. If you have a smaller device, it's easier to one hand. Yeah. Or you can get a Google Pixel, which has some of the best voice recognitions on the planet, and just talk to the dang thing and get it to text for you. You don't even have to type it. There's a lot of options, folks. The thing that makes the most sense to me is I watched a review last night, and I noticed that the cameras are not as bad as everyone says on Z Fold 3. It's not. What I thought about doing with the Z Fold 3, since if I did need that really good, crisp, sharp camera quality, I've got two options. One, I have a GoPro 9 Black. And the GoPro 10 Black now is such a good daily vlogging camera as well. If I needed something a little bit stronger, I could technically put one of those in my pocket and take it with me. And then if I want to get even more serious than that, like I said, I could also carry Sony SVE10. I think I'm saying that wrong. I don't think there's a V in there, but maybe there is. It is, there's a V in there. SVE10. That thing. Those are great vlogging cameras. So being able to do that is very, very tempting as well. And that gives me, for the 99% of the time that I don't need something better than what's in that device, works. S Pen, a lot of people talk about, oh, there's not space for it or whatever. There's plenty of cases. I don't mind them. I actually don't mind like the bigger S Pen Pro. I could plug in and charge and use it. That device is the one that I'm leaning more towards. The thing that's holding me up is seeing what they're going to do with it next year. So if it grows in size and it gets wider and that front screen is what everyone wants it to be right now, I'm probably going to still get the Fold 3. However, I think that the Google Pixel 6 and 6 Pro are two of the most beautiful devices that we've had come out in a long time, and design-wise, they check a lot of boxes. Hardware-wise, they check all the boxes. So yeah, really and truthfully, that's not an option for me. It's either got to be the Z Fold or 4 or 3, depending on what it looks like. S21 Ultra is getting really cheap, and I've even thought about like getting that being my only device and using DeX and hooking that up and carrying just like a little, instead of carrying a tablet, just buying a cheap, really nice screen and having that as an on-the-go. So that's my journey. That's where I'm at. Stick around. I'm going to talk about some of these things. I'm keeping this dude until August, and this dude till August. So 11 Pro, Note 10 Plus 5G will stay with me. I'll say August, the middle of the summer at least. Summer. Yeah, guys, tell me what you think. I know it's kind of a long little intro to what I'm getting into. I mainly just want to use a gimbal, get back into doing this, use the camera, brush it off, talk about my tech journey, talk about kind of what's to come. I'll do some reviews on these if you want me to. I mean, I'll do some, is the 11 Pro worth it in 2022? Is the Note 10 Plus worth it? Kind of how I bend them and how I force them to do what I want them to do. We'll do some side-by-side comparison stuff, and who knows, maybe I can borrow some iPhone 13 Pro Maxes and some S21 Ultras. The big thing though about the channel before I go is to make sure you like, share, and subscribe. If you haven't done that already, that'd be great. I'm at like 100 subscribers. I would love to be at 1,000, but we'll take them as fast or slow as we can get them. I basically will also be showing you a lot how I use these devices. Marketing wise, how you can use just this or just this, depending on what kind of user you are, if you're iPhone or Android. But yeah, just as I go throughout the year, I'm looking to upgrade everything. We might get a new camera, or we might just stick with the cell phone. We might get a new gimbal, or we might not. We might get 2 new phones. Well, we are getting 2 new phones, just what? These 2 are just nostalgia. I can't throw them in the garbage. This one doesn't cut on anymore. It does. You plug in the charger and it acts like it's powering on, but when I hit the power button, it dies. So sad. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Hit those comments down below. Blow this thing up. Help me out. I know it's a long video. It's kind of boring just watching me, my face, and I. That's why I try to throw a few other things and some reviewers and stuff in there, just clips. Sorry, I'm not trying to steal anybody's thunder. Everybody that I share on here, you are the guys that teach me, or the girls that teach me. Most of it's guys. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time.